Inflation is a phenomenon that affects us all, but who suffers the most from it? When we talk about inflation, we're referring to a sustained increase in the general price level of goods and services in an economy over a period of time. This means that as inflation rises, the purchasing power of money decreases and the value of money falls. One group that is often disproportionately affected by inflation is fixed-income earners, such as retirees or individuals living on a fixed income. These individuals rely on a set amount of money each month to cover their expenses, and when inflation rises, their purchasing power decreases. This means they have to make difficult choices about how to allocate their limited resources, often sacrificing essential expenses like healthcare or food to make ends meet. Fixed-income earners are often living on a tight budget, and when prices rise, they have to make significant adjustments to their spending habits. This can lead to a decline in their quality of life, as they're forced to cut back on essential expenses. Another group that is significantly impacted by inflation is low-income households. These households already struggle to make ends meet, and when inflation rises, their limited budgets are stretched even further. They may have to cut back on essential expenses like housing, healthcare, or education to accommodate the increased costs of living. Low-income households often have limited access to credit, and when prices rise, they're forced to make difficult choices about how to allocate their limited resources. This can lead to a vicious cycle of poverty, where the very people who need the most support are the ones who are most affected by inflation. In addition to these groups, individuals who are heavily reliant on debt are also vulnerable to the effects of inflation. When interest rates rise to combat inflation, the cost of borrowing increases, making it more difficult for individuals to service their debt. This can lead to a debt crisis, where individuals are unable to pay their debts and are forced to default or seek debt relief. Individuals who are heavily reliant on debt often have limited financial flexibility, and when inflation rises, they're forced to make difficult choices about how to allocate their limited resources. Furthermore, individuals who are living paycheck to paycheck are also significantly impacted by inflation. When prices rise, their limited budgets are stretched, and they may have to make difficult choices about how to allocate their resources. This can lead to a cycle of financial stress, where individuals are constantly worried about making ends meet and are unable to plan for the future.